Okay, we're going to go over some strategies for attacking ACT reading passage. Um, as you can see, this is a relatively short one with 10 questions. However, it's just part of a bigger one that would actually be 40 questions, and it would be timed and be given 35 minutes. So it's important that you keep in mind that time is a factor, especially when reading it. You don't want to spend a lot of time rereading things. And when we get to the answering the questions, we want to make sure that if we don't know the answer right away, that we skip it and go on to the next one. And then when we're done with ones that we're absolutely positive of, we'll go back and take educated guesses at the ones that we didn't answer the first time around. This passage is a prose fiction story adapted from A New England Nun, which is a short story written by Mary Wilkins Freeman. We want to pay special attention to main ideas, less attention to the little details. Louisa was slow and still in her movements. It took her a long time to prepare her tea, but when ready, it was set forth, which is with as much grace as if she had been a veritable guest to her own self. The little square table stood exactly in the center of the kitchen, and it was covered. Okay, so now we're kind of getting into detail in these little lines in here. Okay, just telling us really descriptive. Okay, nothing really important until we get to her neighbors, where it says she used china every day, something which none of her neighbors did. They whispered about it among themselves. Their daily tables were laid with common crockery. Their sets of best china stayed in their parlor closet. Okay, Louisa was comparing there that no richer than or better bread than they. Still she would use the china. Okay, nothing real important here. We're talking about how she ate daintily. So we're basically talking. We could summarize this paragraph that Louisa likes to use her china and the little eating habits. Okay, we go down a little further, and you can see that she's got a guest coming, right? Or I'm sorry, she's calling in her dog, Caesar, Caesar. Not much here. Just we might even note here that there's something about anything related to her dog. We get down to this paragraph, and we see that about a half hour Joe Daggett came. She heard his heavy step on the walk and rose and took off her pink and white apron. Under that was still another white linen with little cambric edging on the bottom. That was Louisa's company apron, so she's got several aprons that she wears. She never wore it without her calico sewing apron over it unless she had a guest. So she's real deliberate and kind of systematic in the way she wears things. Here we get a description of Joe Daggett. He seemed to fill up the whole room. A little yellow canary that had been asleep in the green cage. The south window woke up. So instead of spending all this time right now addressing this, you can see the strategy that I'm using. I'm going over each section of the selection, and we might want to do some underlining or even circle some areas where we think, okay, this is important. We leave that. In here, we've got her neighbor issues, right, where we circled that. We got dog labeled here. Boyfriend enters here. Description of him here. Okay, so we've just got little bits and pieces of this selection highlighted and labeled. Okay, and then when we get to the answering of the questions, we obviously want to use the process of elimination as our primary tool, and then look for keys in the sentence where it says that it suggests. Okay. To infer, we know that we won't find that directly in the story. What else are we looking for? Reasonable to conclude. So we're going to be coming up with our own conclusions. So those are main ideas there, and so forth. Let's take some time to read this passage on our own, answer the questions, and we'll come back and go over the answers to this section.